Welcome to the Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are going to explore a monumental shift in software development. Seriously, we're taking a deep dive into terminal-based AI coding agents and looking at exactly how this tech is fundamentally reshaping the entire coding landscape right now in 2026. If you've been wondering how to move beyond those basic chat windows and actually integrate AI directly into your terminal workflows, well, you are definitely in the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. Today's roadmap covers 5 key areas. First, the evolution of coding, followed by what are coding agents. Then, we'll go inside OpenCode, survey the 2026 agent landscape, and finally, we'll wrap things up with using agents safely. All right, Section 1, Evolution of Coding. To truly appreciate where we are today, we really have to start by asking a fundamental question. How do we actually communicate with our machines? And how has that language evolved over time? Grounding this potentially intimidating tech in historical context reveals a pretty fascinating timeline. Think about it. Back in the 1940s, we literally spoke to machines in raw machine code. Pretty much just the people who built the hardware understood it. Then we abstracted up to procedural languages in the 60s, object-oriented in the 80s for professionals, and scripting in the 2000s for hobbyists. Every single step reduced friction. And bam, right at the top is our "you are here" moment, AI and natural language. We're moving away from writing rigid syntax to simply describing a problem, like, sort this list of numbers, and letting the machine handle the entire implementation. Which brings us nicely to Section 2. What are coding agents? We hear the term agent thrown around constantly these days, but what exactly makes a coding agent fundamentally different from the standard AI chatbots we've been using for the last few years? The crucial point here comes down to 2 things: autonomy and access. With a standard chat-only LLM, you are the middleman. You ask a question, the AI spits out code, and you have to manually copy, paste, and test it. It's a loop. Coding agents eliminate that bottleneck entirely. They are LLM-based programs with direct, autonomous access to your local codebase. They can plan, edit files, execute shell commands, and retest outputs completely on your behalf. And they do all of this by living exactly where developers already work. When you look at tools like Claude Code and Codex, you see what are called TUIs, Terminal User Interfaces. They aren't separate web browser windows. They sit right inside your command line or remote SSH sessions. And honestly, this is exactly why they are so incredibly powerful. They share your native development environment. Moving on to Section 3, Inside OpenCode. While Claude and Codex are absolutely incredible proprietary tools, there is a standout open source tool in 2026 that's capturing developers' attention everywhere. We need to look inside OpenCode, which is basically the ultimate flexible, bring-your-own-brain workbench. OpenCode rocks this classic retro-style block interface, but under the hood, it's running an incredibly robust client-server architecture built in Go and JavaScript. It is designed specifically for the terminal, giving you intelligent coding assistance without ever forcing you to context switch or leave your command line. OpenCode has really taken off because of its killer feature set. Let's run through these rapidly. First, it's entirely model agnostic. Second, it supports gorgeous TrueColor custom themes so it perfectly matches your terminal vibe. Third, and I gotta say, this is a lifesaver, it takes Git-based snapshots, giving you an undo/redo safety net if the AI messes up your code. Fourth, you can build custom commands with named arguments to automate your unique workflows. And finally, it supports MCP, or Model Context Protocol, meaning it can easily plug into external tools and services. But if there is one single thing you remember about OpenCode, let it be this number: 75. OpenCode gives you 0 vendor lock-in. It currently supports over 75 different model providers. You can plug in your OpenAI key, use Anthropic's Claude, Google's Gemini, or if privacy is your absolute top priority, you can run fully local models on your own machine using Llama. You choose the brain, OpenCode provides the hands. And this brilliantly illustrates OpenCode's technical depth, LSP, or Language Server Protocol Integration. See, when an agent edits your code, it might accidentally introduce a syntax error. OpenCode actually spawns background language servers, checks the code, and feeds those live code diagnostics directly back to the LLM. So the agent learns from its own syntax errors in real time and fixes them before you even have to intervene. It is incredibly smart. Now, if that sounds super complicated to set up, I want to reassure you, right now, it is ridiculously fast. It's literally a simple 3-step path. Step 1, run a quick curl install script in your terminal. Step 2, navigate to your project and type OpenCode. Step 3, type /connect to drop in your provider API key, and that's it.
You go from zero to having a fully functional AI coding agent running in your terminal in under 5 minutes.
All right, Section 4, the 2026 agent landscape. Now that we understand the tech, let's get into the climax of this explainer. You have options, and you need to choose the right one. Let's look at an objective, head-to-head comparison of the 2026 agent wars.
Think of this through the analogy of choosing a pair programmer. First, you've got Claude Code. This is your fast, brilliant expert. Uses the Claude models, has a simple single-threaded loop, and costs about $20 for a pro plan. Then there's Codex. Think of Codex as your ecosystem engineer. It's bundled right into ChatGPT subscriptions, uses the powerful GPT-5 family, and natively integrates with GitHub for pull requests. And finally, OpenCode. This is your flexible workbench. It's MIT licensed and completely free, supports those 75+ models, and boasts that highly unique LSP integration we just talked about. So what does this all mean? Who is actually the smartest? Well, when we look at credible benchmarks testing real-world PR-style bug fixes, like the SWE Bench Pro scores, we see that Claude Opus and GPT-5 Codex are effectively neck and neck at the top of the pack. Claude sits at 57.5%, and Codex right behind at 57.0%. In terms of raw reasoning capability, the top proprietary models are incredibly close. But what happens when we compare actual workflows? Builder.io ran a totally fascinating test using the exact same underlying model on both Claude Code and OpenCode. Claude Code finished the total coding session in about 9 minutes. OpenCode took over 16 minutes, so that's roughly a 78% speed penalty. But wait, look at the output. Claude wrote 73 tests, while OpenCode wrote 94 tests. So you've got a direct trade-off here. Claude is built for blazing speed, while OpenCode's speed penalty is anchored directly to its massive benefit of thoroughness and flexibility. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, using agents safely. Look, handing the keys of your terminal over to an autonomous AI is powerful, but it absolutely requires responsibility. Autonomy must be constrained by policy and smart practices. A really great way to keep agents on track is by using reusable Markdown skill files. For example, a file like the one used by the Center for High Performance Computing. These files provide concrete guidelines, exact steps, and cluster guardrails. By feeding the agent this localized context, it actively prevents the AI from making dangerous assumptions or generic Linux guesses when it's diagnosing something highly specific, like a failed SLRM job on a university cluster. To summarize the core safety takeaways, especially if you're in scientific computing or shared clusters, first, keep agents in general environments, not restricted, highly sensitive areas. Second, beware of context rot. When your session gets too long, the AI gets confused. Use the /compact command when you hit 95% of your context window to summarize and refresh the AI's memory. Third, aggressively review your code-based permissions. And lastly, never forget that just because an agent can execute a runnable command, that absolutely does not mean it understands the underlying scientific intent of your data. You are still the pilot. We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from the evolution of how we talk to machines to the inner workings of OpenCode, and a breakdown of the 2026 agent landscape. The UI of coding has fundamentally changed. We aren't just typing syntax anymore. We are directing autonomous agents right inside our terminals. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to think about. With all these incredible tools at your fingertips, which agent will you pair with? Get out there, experiment safely, and I'll see you in the next explainer.